My sister-in-law keeps on lecturing me for raising my son wrong. She got roasted by the family because of her kids she can't control. My sister-in-law Rachel started giving me parenting advice the day my son Luke was born. She'd had twin boys, Max and Caleb, 3 years earlier, and considered herself an expert on everything child-related. When I was still in the hospital, she told me I was holding Luke wrong, feeding him wrong, even breathing wrong around him. She brought her boys to meet their new cousin, and they spent the visit pulling medical equipment off the walls while she explained how I needed to establish dominance from day one. My husband Tom said Rachel meant well and just wanted to help. For Luke's first year, Rachel would come over uninvited to inspect how I was raising him. She'd check his diaper and announce I wasn't changing him frequently enough. She'd watch me feed him and say I wasn't making airplane noises correctly. She'd see his toys and lecture me about overstimulation. Meanwhile, Max and Caleb would destroy my living room, drawing on walls with markers Rachel brought, jumping on furniture, and screaming when I asked them to stop. Rachel would say boys needed to express themselves freely, or they'd develop emotional problems. When Luke turned 2 and started having normal toddler tantrums, Rachel really ramped up. She'd time his meltdowns and tell me anything over 90 seconds meant I'd failed to establish boundaries. She bought me parenting books with passages highlighted about discipline and structure. She signed me up for mommy blogs without asking. At family dinners, she'd loudly announce that Luke needed better table manners while Max threw food at Caleb, and Caleb ate directly off his plate like a dog. Rachel said her boys were going through a creative phase. By the time Luke started preschool, Rachel was insufferable. She found out Luke's teacher used timeout and called an emergency family meeting about how I was allowing psychological torture. She said real parents didn't outsource discipline to strangers. She tried to get me to pull Luke out and homeschool him like she did with the twins. When I said I worked full-time, she said that was exactly the problem. I prioritized career over my child. Her boys hadn't been in school because Rachel said traditional education crushed children's spirits. She bragged about their free-range learning where they decided what and when to study. Tom's mother mentioned she'd never seen him study anything except YouTube videos about pranks. Rachel said that was media literacy. Everything hit the fan last month. Rachel called me hysterical on Monday morning saying she needed me to watch the twins because of an emergency. I had to call off work but said yes because she sounded desperate. She dropped them off with backpacks full of snacks and iPads, saying she'd be back by lunch. The second she left, chaos started. Max went straight to Luke's room and started breaking his toys. Caleb found my makeup and destroyed $400 worth of products, painting his face in my bathroom mirror. When I tried to stop them, they both started screaming that I wasn't their mom and couldn't tell them what to do. I texted Rachel and she replied that they were testing boundaries and I should let them self-regulate. By hour 3, they'd broken Luke's favorite toy truck, colored on my white couch with permanent marker, and somehow flooded the powder room. Luke was crying in his room, scared of his own cousins. When I tried to put them in timeout, they laughed and said timeout was child abuse according to their mom. They actually quoted her blog posts at me. Rachel didn't come back until 6 that evening. When she saw the destruction, she said I should have child-proofed better. She said Luke's toys were too fragile anyway and the couch needed updating. She grabbed the boys and left without apologizing or offering to pay for anything. I was done being nice. The next day, I did some digging about Rachel's emergency. Tom's cousin Janet worked at the local elementary school, and I asked if she knew why Rachel suddenly needed childcare. Janet laughed and said I didn't know. The twins had been secretly enrolled in public school 2 months ago because Rachel's landlord threatened eviction over their behavior. The other homeschool families had banned them from group activities after Max bit another kid, and Caleb destroyed someone's science project. The emergency was that both boys got suspended on their 8th day of public school. Max had punched a teacher who tried to make him sit in his assigned seat. Caleb had pulled the fire alarm 3 times because he didn't want to take a spelling test. The principal told Rachel they needed a psychological evaluation before returning, and suggested intensive behavioral therapy. Rachel had been trying to find a therapist who didn't require parents to participate in sessions. That weekend was Tom's father's birthday party. Rachel spent the whole time cornering me about Luke's behavior, saying he was too quiet and needed to assert himself more. She said I was raising him to be weak by teaching him to follow rules. She actually used the word beta while describing my 4-year-old. Tom's Aunt Helen overheard and asked Rachel how the twins were enjoying school. Rachel froze. Helen said she'd heard from Janet about the suspension, and wasn't it ironic that Rachel's free-range boys couldn't last 2 weeks in structured environment? Rachel tried to say the school didn't understand gifted children. Tom's father laughed and said getting suspended for assault wasn't gifted. It was failed parenting. Rachel looked at me for support, but I just shrugged and said maybe she should have established dominance from day one.